records and sources close to his team, YB dropped approximately $3.2 million on this Hollywood Hills mansion. The property was a 6,500 square foot modern mansion with 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, infinity pool, and panoramic views of the city. In 2018, that was serious money for a young rapper who was just starting to see major success. But YB was thinking big and wanted to establish himself in the entertainment capital of the world. Here's where the numbers get interesting. YB spent an additional $800,000 on furnishing and customizing the mansion. We're talking about a full recording studio setup that cost $400,000, custom security systems for another $200,000, and high-end furniture and art for the remaining $200,000. So his total investment in this LA property was around $4 million. The incident that defined this period was how quickly YB realized LA wasn't for him, but the financial consequences were significant. While other rappers were trying to plant flags in Los Angeles and build their careers there, YB was already thinking different. The problem was he had locked himself into a long-term lease with option to buy, which meant he was paying around $35,000 per month whether he lived there or not. According to sources close to his team at the time, YB ended up paying approximately $420,000 in rent and fees before he could get out of the lease agreement. That's nearly $500,000 for a property he barely used. But here's the crazy part. That expensive lesson shaped all his future real estate decisions. The aftermath of his LA experiment actually saved him millions in the long run. After experiencing the fishbowl effect of living in Los Angeles as a rising rap star, YB started looking for properties in more secluded areas where he could have privacy and security. This experience directly influenced his decision to eventually settle in Utah, where he could get way more value for his money. If YB had stayed in LA and bought a property comparable to his Utah mansion, he would have paid $15 to $20 million instead of the $4.2 million he spent in Utah. So that $420,000 loss in LA actually saved him over $10 million in the long run. That's an expensive education, but it paid off big time. The current value of the LA mansion he rented is now worth approximately $5.8 million, which means it appreciated by $2.6 million since 2018. If YB had bought it instead of renting, he would have made serious money. But he also would have been stuck in a location that didn't work for his lifestyle and legal situation. But the most recent chapter in NBA Youngboy's real estate story is what's happening right now, and it's showing how all his property moves were part of a bigger financial strategy that's absolutely genius. NBA Youngboy was released from FCY Talladega Federal Prison in Alabama in late March 2025 and got transferred to a residential re-entry management facility in Phoenix, Arizona. He had a 30-day curfew and had to stay at a specific location until his full release date on April 26, 2025. But here's where his real estate planning really paid off financially. During his time in federal custody, YB's Utah properties continued to appreciate in value. His main Mill Creek mansion went from being worth $4.2 million when he bought it to $5.5 million when it was listed for sale. That's $1.3 million in appreciation while he was locked up. His Huntsville property likely appreciated even more, potentially gaining $2 to $4 million in value. Here's where his real estate game really paid off. After his release, YB went straight back to his Mill Creek, Utah mansion. Even though the property was listed for sale at $5.5 million, he moved right back in with heavily armed private security patrolling the property. That's some next level planning right there, keeping your main spot available even when you're locked up. But here's the financial genius of this move. By keeping the property on the market while living in it, YB is testing the waters to see if he can get above asking price. In today's luxury real estate market, properties like his often sell for 10 to 20% above listing price if there's a bidding war. That could mean an extra $550,000 to $1.1 million in his pocket. What really got people worried was seeing the level of security YB felt he needed upon his return. But the financial investment in security is actually smart business. Multiple witnesses in the neighborhood reported seeing armed guards patrolling the grounds 24/7, which costs around $50,000 per month. But for someone with YB's net worth and legal history, that security investment protects a much larger financial empire. But the current situation is that he's on 5 years of federal supervised release, which means his movements are still being monitored. But having that Utah mansion as his base gives him the privacy and security he needs while still complying with his probation requirements. It's a perfect setup for someone in his position, and it's protecting millions.
Good morning.
But when you add up all of NBA YoungBoy's confirmed real estate moves and factor in the properties we don't know about, the numbers are absolutely staggering and way bigger than anyone realizes. His main Mill Creek, Utah mansion is currently listed at $5.5 million. But real estate experts say properties like that in today's market could easily sell for $6 to $7 million. The 8,800 square feet, 1.46 acres, and all those luxury features make it a premium property in one of Utah's most exclusive neighborhoods. That's a potential $1.5 to $2 million profit on his original $4.2 million investment. The second Huntsville, Utah property on multiple acres could be worth anywhere from $8 to $12 million based on recent comparable sales in the area. If YB invested $6.5 million initially, he's looking at a potential $2 to $5 million profit on this property alone. His Baton Rouge real estate investments, while smaller individually, represent a brilliant long-term strategy. With an estimated $1.2 million invested across multiple properties and the potential for 200 to 300% appreciation over the next decade, YB could be sitting on $3 to $5 million worth of Louisiana real estate in the future. The LA mansion situation, while costly in the short term, saved him millions by teaching him to avoid overpriced West Coast real estate. That $420,000 lesson prevented him from making a $15 to $20 million mistake. But here's what most people don't realize. These are just the properties we know about. Someone with NBA, YoungBoy's wealth, and need for privacy likely has additional properties that haven't been publicly disclosed. Real estate experts who work with high net worth individuals say it's common for celebrities to own properties through LLCs and trusts that don't show up in public records. According to sources in the luxury real estate industry, YB likely owns additional properties in at least 2 to 3 other states. Conservative estimates suggest he could have another $10 to $15 million in undisclosed real estate investments. When you factor in potential undisclosed properties, investment land, and the appreciation of his known properties, YB's real estate portfolio could easily be worth $25 to $35 million right now. But here's the most insane part. If current appreciation trends continue, YB's real estate portfolio could be worth $50 to $70 million within the next 5 years. That's generational wealth built primarily through smart property investments while dealing with legal issues and federal prison time. The most disturbing part of this whole story is how YB had to build this real estate empire while constantly dealing with legal issues and security threats. Most 26-year-olds are just starting to think about buying their first home. But YB has been strategically building a multi-million-dollar property portfolio while navigating federal charges and house arrest. What YB's real estate moves really show is how this dude thinks like a Wall Street investor, not just a rapper, and the financial strategy behind every purchase is absolutely brilliant. Choosing Utah over traditional rap hotspots like Atlanta, Miami, or LA was genius because he got more space, more privacy, and better value for his money. In Atlanta, YB would have paid $8 to $12 million for a property comparable to his $4.2 million Utah mansion. In Miami, it would have been $10 to $15 million. In LA, we're talking $15 to $20 million easy. The fact that he named both Utah properties Gravedigger Mountain shows he's building a brand around his real estate, not just buying random houses. That's some calculated type shit that shows long-term thinking about brand value and potential future development opportunities. Having multiple properties in the same state also made sense for his legal situation and his finances. It showed the courts he was committed to staying in Utah and following the rules, which probably helped with his house arrest conditions. But it also allowed him to take advantage of Utah's booming real estate market across multiple locations. The security measures at his properties show that YB understands the reality of his situation, but they're also protecting serious assets. When you're worth hundreds of millions and come from the streets, you can't just live like a regular person. The armed guards and gated properties aren't just for show. They're necessary protection for him, his family, and his multi-million-dollar investments. His Baton Rouge investment strategy shows he's thinking about community impact and long-term wealth building. By investing in his old neighborhood, YB is creating value while giving back to his community. That's the kind of move that builds lasting wealth and positive legacy. So there you have it, fam. NBA, YoungBoy's real estate portfolio.
When life calls, answer with confidence.
Is way more strategic and valuable than most people realize, and the numbers are absolutely insane when you break them down. From his childhood home in Baton Rouge to his luxury Utah compounds, every property purchase tells a story about his journey from the streets to becoming one of the wealthiest young real estate investors in the game. We're talking about a portfolio that's currently worth $25 to $35 million and could hit $50 to $70 million within 5 years. The fact that he built this empire while dealing with legal issues, house arrest, and federal prison time just makes it more impressive. Most people would have lost everything, but YB used his time wisely and made moves that set him up for generational wealth. His current situation, living in his $5.5 million Utah mansion with armed security while on federal probation, shows that even with all his success, the game is still dangerous. But having that real estate foundation gives him stability and options that a lot of other rappers don't have. The most impressive part is how YB turned his legal troubles into investment opportunities. While he was on house arrest, his properties were appreciating in value. While he was in federal prison, the real estate market was making him millions. That's the kind of passive income that creates real wealth. And speaking of rappers making smart money moves that'll blow your mind, y'all need to check out this video about how other young rappers are building wealth beyond just music, and some of these investment strategies are absolutely wild. Click this video to see how the new generation is thinking about generational wealth and making moves that'll have their great-grandchildren set for life. Trust me.